We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Andrew Van Ginkel, Miami Dolphins linebacker. It was recently announced that he's going to start working with like the off-ball linebackers, and I really like this move because it just allows him to be on the field more, give him depth at multiple positions, because he can definitely continue to play edge as a role player, but also, come in, make an impact. He has the athleticism, he has the instincts, the technique to be an off-ball linebacker type as well. So I just think it's a real nice compliment for what the defense is. It adds the versatility. He's just a playmaker for this team. He's been productive every time he comes into the game, and I just think he deserves a bigger role on the defense. And, with Fangio using him in multiple different ways, he can be a Sam, like a Jack, Joker, Leo type of player, which is more of like an in-between type of linebacker role where you're used as an off-ball guy, but also on the edge at times. And he looks, in the few off-ball reps that I've seen, he actually looks pretty comfortable there. So I'm going to break down all of those and, go through some of his best plays from the past season. Here's one of the few off-ball reps where he's like actually just in pursuit on the backside of like a toss play right here. Really didn't see much of this. Like sometimes he would rotate to this late and become like an off-ball guy, but it's mostly just on the edge. Here he's truly just a will here. The pitch going to the field side, and he just does a great job, showing off the athleticism. He recognizes the play, the flow of the play pretty quickly, doesn't allow 79 to cut him off, and he's very athletic. His athleticism is off the charts. He tested like that, and then here just dips his shoulder, able to change directions while the right tackle still has some hands on him, and then come off of this and help make this tackle for a minimal gain. Really good rep from the weak side linebacker spot. He maybe over pursues a little bit, but I think as he has the athleticism to make up for it. But as he gets more comfortable in this type of role, I think it's something that he'll be very good at. He's a very solid run defender as an edge guy, and I think allowing him to work more in space will be nice. And he's also like underrated, I think, in coverage as like a spot dropper underneath zone guy. I'll definitely get into that as the video goes on. And I think this allows him to be more of a blitzer when rushing, not just like a pure edge rusher, because he's not as great as a pure edge rusher one-on-one versus tackles. But I think you allow him to work some blitzes on like twist stunts. He'll be a lot more effective there with his athleticism and instincts. That's why I love when Andrew Van Ginkel's in the game, because when he's in there, he just makes plays. Like, he's long, he's athletic, and he can just bully, like, tight ends. He bullies tight ends. Like, here, just gets engaged, extends with those hands, pushes, pulls. Really good work there from a technical standpoint with his lower body, his hips, getting control, and then toss this guy to the side. He's got some underrated strength. He's like an in-betweener. Like, he's like, his size is very tall, maybe on this leaner side for an edge guy, and now going to like off-ball linebacker, he's going to be a little big for that position. But just a really good job staying square, staying balanced. He's always under control. Love the burst that he plays with off the ball, and he just absolutely destroys his tight end. A consistent playmaker for this defense whenever he's been in the game. Needs more reps, and I think Fangio could really, I think, unlock him to take an even next step to become like a very good starter. Another rep from Van Ginkel where he's an off-ball linebacker. They motion. It becomes more of a traditional off-ball guy here. He fills his gap, and you can just see the range to the sideline. Forces Swift out of bounds with the help of Hall in there. But this is just a really nice, gap discipline rep. Get into this gap right here. He isn't completely responsible for this area. He's seeing Swift cut this back. Knows that he's going to bounce this all the way back to the outside here just based on where he's positioned. So he's already seeing that instincts. And then he has the range athleticism to where Swift, who's a very explosive running back, where he gains absolutely nothing on the play. Really, really high-level stuff from Van Ginkel. Whenever he's working versus the run, it can be from off-ball, edge, multiple different spots. He's just a playmaker. He can win with athleticism, instincts, but he can also just overpower people at times, use his technique to toss people to the ground. It's really, really nice to see. I think Van Ginkel has actually been pretty underrated in coverage throughout his career because he doesn't make any, eye-popping, eye-flashing type of plays, but he's just consistent. He knows his job. Here he's lined up as an edge, not even an off-ball guy. I think he'll be even more comfortable, but here he carries the tight end down the seam, reroutes, disrupts him, gets hands-on, gets physical, and then comes off of it to, possibly take this away. In case number 2, works over the middle a lot of time, they'll, have this guy run a clear out and then have the dig behind it, so he would take away that, but then he also sees number 8 working into his zone. He just stays disciplined. He understands where he's supposed to be on the field. He's very instinctive in underneath zone. He can work from 3 to 2, finds the receivers that are coming into his area. He's just got active eyes, active feet, good athleticism, and I think that size thing is something to keep note of because he can really disrupt, reroute, and use his body just to shield off the receivers and just completely throw off the timing of the offense. Like the only rep I could find of him as off ball where he's just one-on-one with an O lineman on space. I've seen him take on O lineman as like an edge guy for sure, but it's a little bit different when they're coming at you on space You got more room to work with, so you can make the miss. But here he just takes the guy on. You can see he's still willing to do it. He's got the wide base, extends with his hands, the hips, good technique. He gets in complete control. I think it's nice to have a linebacker that when he's in there, he can take on a lineman. I think he'll be the best off-ball linebacker on the team now at taking on a lineman out in space. And then, disengage, help make this tackle. It ends up being like a 4 or 5 yard gain by the running back driving. But from his initial play there from the start, like how he initially takes this on, he processes the lineman coming towards him, takes him on with good technique, strength. It's all really nice to see. And I think the more and more he gets comfortable there, he can become even better. Love this play from Van Ginkel. Love how smart he is, the football intelligence. He sees the play action boot, and a lot of guys would try to chase down, close this lane quickly, but he gains depth. Look how he gains depth. He takes away the initial throwing lane here to this guy, but he also has the leverage to get to here as well. So he's just leveraging these two routes perfectly. Really comfortable in these zone flat coverages. And then now, once he's sort of taken away both throws, the throwing lane to here, squeeze to this one now, and then once he sees the quarterback is committed to running, he gets down. They only get a 3 yard gain out of it, and he was basically the reason they didn't get a much bigger gain. If he wasn't where he was in positioning, they would either completed it to this tight end, this receiver out of the backfield, and or if he would have hard committed to the receivers, then the quarterback would have picked up a much bigger gain as a runner. It was so really nice play there, taking away all 3 options. Here's the Van Ginkel interception of the season. He always seems to come up with some big play from whether it was fumble recoveries, forced fumbles, interceptions. Here he gets a little bit lucky with the guy getting hit as he's throwing it, but you can tell he kind of messes up here. He completely recovers. He misses the punch on the tight end. You can see how quickly he changes directions here after being off balance, get back into a spot, put himself into a position to make a play on the ball that's being thrown to the running back, gets overthrown, and he is just a playmaker. I think he doesn't score here, but he gets close. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had a blocked punt versus the Bears as well. I can't remember if he also recovered it and scored. I just don't remember. But he seems to just always make these big plays. He has that touchdown, that 90-yard touchdown versus the Rams, I believe. Just so many big plays throughout his career. And as a guy who just hasn't played a lot of snaps, it's been very nice to see how impactful he's been. As a pass rusher, this is where he can make his impact. Not just as a pure one-on-one guy. He doesn't have a lot of moves, I would say. He pretty much just wins with speed to power every time if he does win, or getting around with the edge with athleticism. He just doesn't have too much in his bag there. When it comes to twists and stunts, and I think as an off-ball linebacker where he can blitz, I think he'll be more effective as a rusher in that way. Really good job pressing up to this, allowing the defensive tackle to get into 71, and once he does that, he works off of it, and he just times this so well, and he has the athleticism to explode to the quarterback. Great burst to close on that. Really, really effective in those areas. I feel like I've shown so many different examples of how Van Ginkel makes an impact. Here's another sort of different type of play. He gets over the rub and pick. They try to, get the ball out to Eckler in the flat. This is something the Chargers have done a lot. He's clearly recognizing what's going on here from his alignment and the tight end here, and he instantly already knows what's going on. First step, he's trying to get around it, gets around both guys, takes a great angle. He has that athleticism to close out in space, to burst, the range. Really impressive to make, that negative gain. Not many players like him. He's a very unique player. I just love his skill set, and I just want to see how Vic Fangio uses him as more of an off-ball guy. I think, he's very comfortable out in space, so I think he has a chance to make that translation. We got Van Ginkel, working versus read option. He's the guy responsible for the quarterback, and I also feel like he's one of the only guys on the roster who can kind of match Josh Allen's, size and athleticism, which is interesting. I kind of feel like he should be the guy that they work versus Josh Allen, because he has the athleticism, he has the physicality, the strength, the size to be that sort of Josh Allen counter, and he's one of the few guys that will actually make this tackle out in space. He does a great job too, seeing Allen working. He squeezes this, so he wants Allen to kind of pull this. He squeezes it enough to where he could help on 26, but maintains the leverage to the outside of the quarterback. And then once he sees Allen go, takes a hard angle to the outside to force him back inside to help, and still, helps finish this tackle. One of the few guys on the roster who is able to do this, and I think that's very, very valuable. I guess Van Ginkel just keeps making these plays down in the flat, down the red zone here. They work the play action. He starts to just look at the hips too. So impressive. He's such a good mover for his size. It's really, really nice to see. But here, he's just reading this, sees that he's not going to give it to the end around guy. No it's play action down here. Sees that it's a pass, so he starts to gain depth here, just in case something started to work into this zone. But nothing really working here. This guy's 1-on-1, so he knows he can flip back out, get into the flat here, close instantly, get a 5-yard loss. Great angle to finish. He's a very strong tackler for this team. Just so many impactful plays in so many different ways. Another example of Van Ginkel making a play near the line of scrimmage as an edge guy. He's just instinctive. He understands what's going on here. He sees the lineman try to chop him, so he puts his hands down, keep himself clean, and understands this type of situation. Sees the running back and the receiver both working out this way, so he gets his hands up, gets the pass deflection, makes another impactful play. Early downs, he can be impactful on first down, second down, third down. Doesn't matter the situation. And he's just so useful, such a versatile piece, and just one of those really good role players that you have on the team that whenever he's in the game, he makes an impact. Really reminds me of the sixth man on the basketball team. That's always really good. I feel like the Van Ginkel is that kind of guy for the Dolphins defense. Last play, that on breakdown, and this is the type of play why I still feel like Andrew Van Ginkel can just play edge. He doesn't need to play off-ball linebacker, but if they do want to just keep him at edge, this is why I'm still very comfortable with him. He's a player that can very easily set the edge for your run defense. Look at him. He takes on the tight end initially. He does a really good job because they motion this guy down and try to give him this angle here where he can get a little bit of a crackback block to capture the outside. But Van Ginkel recognizes it instantly and gets to his head on the outside shoulder of the tight end. Now he's just in complete control. He uses that inside arm, long arm to keep his chest clean here. Really good job. Good leverage. Complete control of the outside, and then also with how he resets the line of scrimmage. See how he resets the line of scrimmage? He pushes this guy back. He creates this line of scrimmage 2 yards back from where it should be. Now that the pulling guard on space is he's forced to block Van Ginkel as well. So he takes on 2 guys here and then forces everything back to the rest of the defense, and that creates only a 2-yard gain, all on the back of Van Ginkel, just completely resetting versus the tight end, and then forcing the guard to work onto him too. He can really set the edge. That's why I'm still very comfortable at him as an edge defender, but also the possibility of him. He has that athleticism and the instincts to play on off ball as well. And I just think it adds a nice little versatility to the team. And Van Ginkel will make it very difficult for the offense to understand what the defense is trying to do. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it up, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.